Did you know that a medieval two Total War Kingdoms campaign has a formable nation, like an EU4 style formable nation, and it's in the Teutonic campaign when you play as Denmark. You can form the Kalmar Union. I've already made a tutorial video on how to do this before, and yeah, that's what makes this faction so fun, because it's so unique. You don't have formable nations in Total War, but Denmark comes in and it just has that ability, which I just love. It's so interesting, and you can like absorb Norway into your empire as well, like you inherit the faction sort of thing. Very interesting system, and I really like it. On top of that, Denmark's position is actually very interesting. You start off, of course, in the north of the Teutonic map. You got mainland Denmark bordering the HRE, but you've also got territory all the way in the Baltic, bordering Novgorod, which you got to defend as well. So it's a bit of border gore, but it works in a really fun and interesting way. And that's why Denmark comes on 5th place for this list. Top 5 most interesting factions to play as on Kingdoms Total War. Or top 5 most fun, not necessarily interesting. In 4th place, we have Wales from the Britain campaign, and I like playing as Wales. It's a bit of a survival mode. You start off with only a few settlements next to a very massive power. It's not like survival as in Western Roman Empire where, you know, you're fighting for your life, but you are a big empire. No, Wales starts small and surrounded by a very large enemy, and yeah, it just adds to the challenge of the campaign, and I really like it. I enjoy playing as Wales. And I'm trying to think about it now from the old classical titles, and I can't think of any other campaign like it. You're a small nation surrounded by a massive enemy, and you've got to fight for survival. Yeah, as I said, it's not the same survivalism in Barbarian Invasion, because at least there you are a big empire. I can't really think of another faction that is like that, and that's why I like Wales in the British campaign. Number 3 is for the Teutonic Order campaign, and it's Lithuania. The main interesting thing about Lithuania is the fact that you can convert your religion. Lithuania starts off as a pagan faction, which has unique, powerful units that makes up for its weak starting position. They also gain access to very interesting pagan religion buildings, which I thought Medieval 2 lacked in a bit. With religion in Medieval 2, you just have normal churches, and that was it. There's just one church, and you build up as your day goes. But in Rome Total War, what you had was different expansions that you can go down, like Temple of Ares, Temple of Zeus, and they provide different stuff. That was lacking in Medieval 2, but it has its own revival in the Teutonic campaign for Lithuania, as you can build 3 different temple buildings. The weakness, however, of being pagan is you cannot advance beyond a castle or a city level, so you are very limited in how tall you can play. However, Lithuania at some point in the campaign gains the option to convert to Christianity, and this destroys all pagan structures, units and agents, well, the pagan units and agents, and your faction also suffers a lot of unrest. However, in return, converting your religion to Christianity opens up new buildings and new possibilities for the faction, because you can actually expand beyond a castle or a city, which does really help with your campaign. I guess it depends what playstyle you're going for. Either way, Lithuania is a very interesting faction that I really like. It's got replayability, like you can play it once as a pagan, you can play it again as a Christian, and it's a completely different campaign both ways. However, I just don't like its starting position. I don't like starting in the middle of a map surrounded. I like being in a corner, or like having the coast or some mountains to back me up a bit. That's just how I like my campaigns. Number 2, Crusades and Byzantium. Now this plays to my playstyle quite a lot. I like a faction in the corner of the map with a lot of coast surrounding it, or mountains, or something that is easy to defend. And that's one reason I like Byzantium. They're a fun faction to play. But there's also 2 interesting things, like mechanic based, that I like about them. The Venetian 4th Crusade. At one random point in your campaign, all of a sudden a load of Venetians arrive outside of Byzantium, 2 full stack armies, and they're going to put you under siege and try and sack Constantinople, and you've got to try and defend your capital city sort of thing. It just adds a very interesting mechanic to the game. Although on your first playthrough it might be annoying, it's still a fun thing that suddenly pops up and it sparks a bit of interest into it. But the next time you play it, you know it's coming and you can prepare, and you actually get a very massive, interesting siege at Constantinople. It's quite a big city, great towers, you've got lots of troops in there ready to defend, and all of a sudden, 2 massive Venetian stacks just charge on at you. Oh, it's really fun to defend Constantinople with that. Not only that, Byzantium also has the most interesting hero mechanic in the game. Each faction has its own hero, and they have their own special abilities. And I'm going to show you them all here, this is just from Wikipedia. But Byzantium has Manuel Komnenos, whose hero ability is called Byzantine Politics. It causes infighting amongst an enemy unit, essentially removing them from play until order is restored or they are attacked. It can only be used once per battle. So yeah, a very interesting mechanic there. It's sort of like, it reminds me of some Warhammer 2 level magic sort of thing. You can have the enemy fight itself, and yeah, it's very interesting. The Crusades campaign was what began the hero mechanics in Total War. It wouldn't be used again until much later with the Warhammer series, but yeah, this is where Warhammer 2 heroes were born, I guess. All the way back in Medieval 2 Total War Kingdoms, Crusades. I've got one honourable mention, and this is just one of my most entertaining campaigns of them all. No real unique mechanics, I just found it fun to play. And yeah, it's one of my most entertaining Let's Plays ever. Although I never recorded it. Scotland in the British campaign. I don't know why, I just really enjoyed it. Fighting the Norwegians in the north, having to island hopping away, and then you just move down south to take out the English. It was just a very simple campaign. You've got a lot of water around you defending you, loads of mountains, and yeah, it was just simple and fun. It has one interesting mechanic where William Wallace arrived, but I'd mostly completed the campaign by that point, so it wasn't much help. In first place is for the Americas, and that's right, you probably guessed it, the Spanish. So of course, historically, the Spanish had arrived with their conquistadors and they were ready to take some gold. As Spain, that's sort of where you start. You've just arrived on the Mexican coast. You've got gunpowder units, you've got some cannons, very interesting cavalry and swordsmen, and all of a sudden you're surrounded by a load of Aztecs, Mayans, whatever all the other ones are, and you just got to conquer outwards. It's just a really fun campaign, being able to like use guns versus units that are not using guns, and having just rapid expansion where you're almost unstoppable from the Aztecs, but still it's not super easy. The Aztecs can put up a fight if they get to your gunpowder units in melee, so yeah, you can still lose battles at times. And not only that, once you have conquered the natives around you, then all of a sudden the French and the British have arrived, and it becomes a pike and shot total war, where you're fighting their gunpowder and pikeman units. Yeah, a really interesting campaign, and yeah, the gameplay is just really fun, but it doesn't stop there. The way how you unlock the next tier of buildings is different when you play as Spain. Usually in Medieval 2 you just need to reach a population limit, then you get the next buildings, but if you play as a Spanish, you have to complete missions, and you gain new titles for completing those missions, which give you influence, which unlocks next tier buildings, which I think is a very interesting, unique way to go about it. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this top 5 video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please do subscribe if you want to get notified of it, please do like the video or share it if you want to help me out, and yeah, most importantly though, I do hope you've enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. I've been MELKOR, goodbye.